Now we're going to do the jib sail, the head sail, and the jib sheets. So taking the jib out of the bag, untying all the lines. This particular line, this green line, is the downhaul line. So I've got that loose, and now I've got a couple of sail ties holding the rest of it. I'm going to pull all of this loose, and now I'm going to see if I can recognize what's what. Okay? If you find the edge of the sail that has typically a cable inside of it, and these little things called hanks, sometimes they're spring-loaded pins and sometimes they're little straps like this, then you know that you've got the leading edge, the luff edge of the sail. So this is actually the top of the jib sail and the forward edge. So this is the head, and this edge is what they call the luff of the sail. So I'm going to remember that. I'm going to track down that front edge to the bottom of the sail. If that was the top, if I'm going this way, I'll find the bottom here. So this is the bottom of the luff, and this corner is what they call the tack of the sail. And this is what's going to connect to your deck. So we're going to come up here, and we're going to find this little pigtail cable that has a shackle on the end of it and a single swiveling block. And I'm going to pull that shackle open and lock that together. It clicks just like the others do. And now I have the tack of the sail attached. And I'm going to go ahead and put one of the hanks on the head stay. So it goes around. When you put this on, there is a proper side to do it on. Okay. For instance, if I was to take this up now and I was to turn it this way and put it on, it would still hank on there. But when I hoisted the sail, then I would have a twist in the sail. So you need to make sure that when you fold this on, you bend it on, they say. You put those on the proper side. And I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of this, and then we'll talk about running the downhaul line. Okay, so in just a minute you'll see the entire sail. We're going to put that last hank on, and the next thing we need to do is attach the jib halyard to the head of the sail. That's going to go right here to this ferrule. All right, so let me grab that, or that thimble. Now the jib halyard is here on the port side of the boat. Shackle's here. So I will bring this up, marry the head and the shackle, and then when I pull down on the jib halyard, the sail will go up. So how do I get the sail down? Well, that's what this line is for, and that's the next thing we're going to talk about. This is the downhaul line. Okay, the way it's set up right now, I have to come to the front of the sail, or the foredeck, and pull it down. Okay, but the nice thing about having a downhaul line is that you can actually pull the sail down from the cockpit if you run it properly. So I'm going to pull this over so I've got some clearance here. And remember that tack shackle that we looked at right here? There is a single block here that is a swiveling block, and if I run the downhaul line, and by the way, my downhaul line is green because the grass is green and the grass is on the ground, and my blue halyard is blue because the sky is blue and it's way up there. That goes to the top of the mast. So just a suggestion in running your lines. It makes it easier for your students. All right, so that is the downhaul line. I'm going to run this back to the cockpit now, and I'm going to run it through a small cleat right here. And this is a cam cleat. If I pull it, it locks in place, and when it tries to go back, it will not go back. You want a stopper knot in the end of this though, so I'm going to do that figure 8 knot again, and that will stop it from running out. Okay, so for the time being, I'm going to pull that tight and cleat it and drop it into the floor. Now we need to talk about one other corner of the jib sail. We talked about the head, we talked about the tack. Let's talk about the aft end, which is what they call the clew. This is the clew of the sail. And the portion of the sail, this edge of the sail between the tack and the clew, is what they call the foot of the sail, the bottom of the sail. The head is at the top, the front edge is called the luff, this is the foot, and this back edge of the sail is what they call the leech. And I don't know the history of that. I'm not sure why it's called the leech. The clew end of the sail has, on a Flying Scot anyway, it has this assembly of two single blocks, and I'm going to get my jib sheet. This is my port jib sheet, uncoiled, and I can put this through either one of these blocks, and then I want to run it back to the cockpit, to this swiveling single block, and then we're going to run it down into the cockpit to a single block here. You want to go through that single block from the outside. This one does not swivel. So if you go from the inside to the outside, you're going to have a problem. You want to go from the outside to the inside, and then you go through this cam cleat, and this is just a cam cleat. It's not a swiveling cleat. Pull on that. That will pull the jib sheet tight to the port side of the boat. Okay? Now I'm going to do the same thing with the starboard side jib sheet. Make sure it's all untangled. This line needs to be fed forward. It shouldn't come around the block like that. So you want that to run free and clear. You have to go in front of the mast, not behind the mast, in front of the mast to the other block that's attached to the clew of the sail. And then you go again in front of the mast, and you do the same thing over here on the starboard side that you did on the port side. You go through the standing block, and then you go down to the single block from the outside and through the cam cleat to the inside. And now I have two jib sheets, one on the starboard side that will pull the sail, the jib, to the starboard side of the boat if I pull on it. There we go. Okay. Or to the port side if I pull on the other. You see, it's pulling it back across to the opposite side. There we go. So you can get the jib to either side of the boat with the jib sheets. I like to have one jib sheet. I don't like to have two separate ones. So I find the ends of my jib sheets and I tie a double figure-8 knot to turn that into one jib sheet. So if I can find one of these white lines with the red and green flecks in it, I know I've got the jib sheet and can get it to either side. So that is how you assemble the jib and the jib sheets.